Requisites of contract of sale: consent or meeting of mind, object or subject matter, cause or consideration. Natural or accidental elements. Natural element, those which are deemed to exist in a certain contract in the absence of any contrary stipulations like warranty against eviction. Accidental elements are those which may be present or absent depending on the stipulation of the parties. Two kinds of contract of sale: absolute and conditional. Article 1459. The thing must be illicit and the vendor must have a right to transfer the ownership of thereof at the time of its delivery. Requisite concerning object: things must be within the commerce, determinate, licit or lawful, must be impassable, right must be transmissible. Rights of vendor to transfer ownership: one can sell only what he owns, sufficient if right exists at time of delivery. Article 1460. A thing is determinate when it is particularly designated or physically segregated from all others of the same class. The requisites that the thing be determinate is satisfied if the time the contract is entered into the thing is capable of being made determinate without the necessity of a new or further agreement between the parties. Subject must be determinate when things determinate, sufficient if subject matter capable of being made determinate. Article 1462. The goods which form the subject of contract of sale may be either existing goods owned or possessed by the seller or goods to be manufactured, raised or acquired by the seller after the perfection of the contract of sale. In this time, title called future goods. There may be a contract of sale of goods whose acquisition by the seller depends upon a contingency which may or may not acquired. Article 1463. The sole owner of thing may sell an undivided interest therein. 1464. In the case of fungible goods, there may be a sale of an undivided share of specific mass through the seller purpose to sell and the buyer to buy definite number or weight or measure of goods in the mass. And though the number, weight, or measure of the goods in the mass undeterminate. Article 1466. In construing a contract containing provisions characteristic of both the contract of sale of the contract of agency to sell, the essential clauses of the whole instrument shall be considered. Article 1467. A contract for the delivery of a certain price of an article which may be the vendor in the ordinary course of his business manufacturer or products for the general markets, whether the same is on hand at the time or not, it is the contract of sale. But if the goods are to be manufactured specially for the customers and upon his special order, and not for the general market, it is contract for the piece of work. Article 1468. If the consideration of the contract consists partly in money and partly in another thing, the transaction shall be characterized by the manifestation of the parties. If such intention does not clearly appear, it shall be considered a barter if the value of thing given as part of the consideration exists. Article 1469. In order that the price may be considered certain, it shall be sufficient that it be so with reference to another thing certain, or that the determination thereof be left to the judgment of the specified person or persons. Article 1471. If the price is simulated, the sale is void, but the act of may be shown to have been a reality of duration of some other act or contract. 1472. The price of security securities, gain, liquids, and other things shall also be considered certain. When the price is fixed, is that which the thing sold exchange. Article 1473. The fixing of price can never be left to the discretion of one of the contracting parties. However, if the price fixed by one of the parties is accepted by the other, the sales is perfected. Article 1474. Where the price cannot be determined in accordance with the preceding articles or in any other manner, the contract is inefficacious. However, if the thing or any part thereof has been delivered to and appropriate by the buyer, he must pay a reasonable price therefor. Article 1475. The contract of sale is perfected at the moment there is a meeting of mind upon the things which is objected the contract, and upon price.